Today I'm going to show you a 2019 drama thriller film titled Art of Self-Defense. Be ready for spoilers ahead. The movie opens with Casey Davis, an accountant, sitting at a diner reading a newspaper. A French couple walks in and starts criticizing the taste of items available there. They take a table not far from Casey's and start playing a game in French where they imagine what kind of person Casey is but use all sorts of obscenities. Casey soon leaves for the office, and on the way, he plays a tape on how to learn French. He completes 25 chapters of the language basics only to memorize a phrase pleading not to hurt him because he is just a tourist. At the office, Casey is awkward with zero social skills and no social group, so he decides it is time to do something about it. He joins 3 co-workers bad-mouthing their boss in the break room. He says something completely unrelated and goes on to reveal that he audits their expenses, and, immediately, he is asked to get out. Casey lives alone with his little pet dachshund, whom he loves dearly. However, when he comes across an article suggesting that wolf dogs can help a man feel like an alpha male, his thoughts falter for a fleeting moment. But looking at his dachshund's puppy eyes, he brushes away the thought and goes in the kitchen to fetch some dog food. Finding he's almost out of food, he visits the pet store to buy a refill, and on his way, he is approached by 2 men on the motorbike asking him if he has a gun. Casey looks confused, and they speed away as Casey goes to the store to buy the food. However, as he makes his way back, the same men on the motorbike and other assailants begin chasing him, eventually catching him and brutally beating him without any reason. He tries to give them his wallet, but they keep hitting him until he lies unconscious. Casey wakes up in the hospital as the news of his mugging plays in the background. Once back home after his discharge, he listens to the voicemails and finds only one message from his boss, urging him to take as much time as he needs. Casey tries doing things out of his routine, but nothing helps him overcome this new fear instilled in him, and he has become fearful for his life. After getting inspired by a gangster movie, he decides to purchase a gun for his safety. He goes to a gun store and picks a handgun that he thinks he'll carry home, but the owner tells him he'll be doing a background check on him, and there is a waiting period before he can get it. The owner doesn't shy away from disclosing the statistics on the risk of gun owners being killed higher than unarmed people and sends him off on a positive note, saying that he'll enjoy owning a gun, and Casey agrees. While walking back from the store, Casey comes across a karate dojo. Fascinated by the class, he enters and watches Sensei teach about incorporating karate in every facet of life. After the class, Casey talks to Sensei and asks if he can join. Sensei invites him to a free class the next day to see for himself, so he comes the next day and meets Anna, the only female member of the dojo, in a brown belt, giving lessons to the kids. Casey watches her perform a sleeper hold on one of her students and is very impressed. After the class, Casey walks up to Anna and introduces himself as the new student, but Anna chides him for wearing his shoes on the mat. Casey soon begins his lesson and meets Henry, a blue belt, working his way to a promotion in rank. He is friendly, even helping Casey with his belt and patiently answering all his questions. During his first lesson, the class is taught to punch with the feet, and he is put against another student named Kenneth, who knocks Casey off his feet on the first kick. Upon being motivated by Kenneth, Casey is able to land some good kicks and decides to sign up for the classes. The following day, Casey gets a call from the gun store owner to let him know that the paperwork went through and he can pick up his gun. However, Casey refuses to buy it, feeling confident about the classes. So much so that Casey has not been to the office for 2 months now, and it is the promotion day at the karate dojo. Everyone has come, even the students from the night class. Henry is sure he will be promoted to black belt and shares it with Casey, who congratulates him. Sensei begins the ceremony by stating that today is the anniversary of the dojo's late grandmaster, who was killed after accidentally getting shot in the face after being mistaken for a bird while on a hiking trip, and that is why Sensei believes that guns are for weak people. He also mentions the Grandmaster was the only one to wield a rainbow belt that he made himself after he defeated all 3 Grandmasters with his signature move that only he knew, wherein he could kill any man by punching a hole in their heads using his index finger. Sensei then begins the ceremony and upgrades Casey to the yellow belt, impressed with his hard work. In the end, he brings out a black belt, and both Henry and Anna look hopeful, but Sensei gives it to another member, Thomas. One evening, Casey is buying groceries after work, and when he gets back to his car, he sees a man door slam his car and confronts him about it. But the man intimidates Casey and even pushes him, knocking off his grocery bag. That day, Casey drives back home crying all the way. Later in the classes, Casey's performance gets affected because the incident has taken a blow to his confidence. Sensei notices it and invites Casey to talk about it. Casey confesses that he was mugged a few months ago, which has left him feeling terrified of the dark and other men, though he wishes to become the one who intimidates others. Sensei advises him to listen to hardcore metal and do things that would be considered tough, along with inviting him to his night class. He adds that he has never invited a yellow belt to that class, but he is ready to make an exception. Casey visits the night class and finds Henry there even though he was not invited, and Henry thinks Casey betrayed him for showing up to the class without telling him. As Sensei starts the class, he calls Henry in front for a demonstration and brutally snaps his elbow, warning him never to return even for the day class. Henry leaves in tears and extreme pain while Sensei introduces Casey to the class. Soon the class begins, and the students fight in pairs with no rules till one of them starts bleeding. Thomas is paired with Anna, who subdues him after he falls unconscious. She puts him in a headlock and then proceeds to smash his face into a pulp, venting her frustration at not receiving the black belt. Sensei dismisses her for the night and disqualifies her from getting a black belt. After the class, Sensei instructs them to cool down, and everybody strips and helps each other relax. Sensei takes Casey to the maintenance room, which is also Anna's changing room. She gives Casey a massage when Casey bombards her with questions, but she refuses to answer when he asks why she projected her anger at Thomas. It is revealed that Casey was fired from his job because when he returned to work after 2 months, his demeanor changed to being assertive, which often made him appear annoying. He also punched his boss in the throat just so he could fit in with the group in the break room, and instead he got fired. Finding that Casey has accounting experience, Sensei offers him a temporary position as an accountant at the dojo. One evening, Casey gets a call from Sensei to tell him that he found one of the men who attacked him months ago and asks him to meet at a bar. He meets Sensei outside the bar, and Sensei orders Casey, even slapping him hard, to confront a drunk man who he claims to be Casey's attacker. Casey has doubts, but he follows the drunk man walking toward the bike. Casey confronts the man who doesn't seem to recognize him, but Casey punches him in the stomach, making him fall and hit his head on the pavement, causing him to bleed. Sensei appears from behind, filming everything, and when questioned, Sensei doesn't feel the need to answer and takes his leave. Casey picks up the man's keys and realizes they are bicycle keys, making him run away in horror. Once he's home, he finds his pet dachshund lying unconscious, and he takes him to the vet. The doctor tells Casey that his dog died because of a trauma to his ribs from a kick that inflicted injury like a punch. However, there was blood on his teeth, indicating he bit the attacker. Casey immediately recognizes who the attacker may be and goes to the dojo, deliberately breaking all the rules, like wearing shoes, eating, and drinking on the mat. When Sensei arrives, Casey accuses him of killing his dog, but Sensei denies the accusations. Surprisingly, Sensei spins the tale and accuses Casey of brutally assaulting an innocent man and puts things in such a way that makes Casey look guilty, which leads to a fight between them, and Sensei easily knocks him on his back. Later, they reconcile, and Sensei offers Casey a full-time position in his dojo and asks him to take the kids' class, removing Anna from the picture. That night after the class, Sensei takes Casey, Thomas and Kenneth out for a night ride on motorbikes, and Anna invites herself, offering to ride with Casey. They ask Casey to prove himself and find somebody who needs help, but Casey shows inability. Once alone, Anna remarks he should never have joined the classes, and now if they don't prove themselves, Sensei will kill them. They soon approach an undercover cop who, when approached, shoots Anna in the leg. Casey attacks the cop, smashing his head on a hydrant, punching him repeatedly, and killing the man only to stop when he hears sirens. Sensei and the others witness everything and escape while Casey helps Anna. Once back at the dojo, Sensei chastises Anna for breaking the rule and approaching an armed man. He offers Casey a red stripe for taking a life the same as Anna. Later, Casey takes Anna home and asks about her red stripe, and she reveals she killed a student 1 rank above her who attacked her from behind in the changing room. Since she held back in the class because she followed a hierarchy, the upper belt mistook her for being weak. But little did he know, she was better than him and was strangulated by her with his own belt. Before leaving, she thanks him for the ride and warns him never to return to the dojo. That night when he returns home, he finds a German shepherd in his house with a note from Sensei, warning him to be the alpha or the dog will chew him up in his sleep. Not wanting to get his head ripped off by the dog, he returns to the dojo to do more digging when he finds Henry's body hanging by his belt. He discovers that the dojo has a crematorium and also finds that it was Sensei, Thomas, and Anna who mugged him after he finds a video of Thomas kicking him and Anna trying her best to prevent them from killing him. Very early in the morning, Sensei opens the dojo and puts Henry's body in the crematorium before he starts cleaning and preparing the dojo for the classes. After some time, Casey arrives, and while he and Sensei sit facing the portrait of the Grandmaster, Casey tells Sensei flat out that he is going to kill him because he hates him. He also mentions Sensei's plot of blackmailing the former students into paying the membership long after they leave. He then provokes Sensei by calling him out by his real name, Leslie, and adds that Leslie is much more feminine sounding than Casey, as Sensei had said the same about his name in the earlier days. Casey challenges him to a duel to the death, which Sensei is confident that Casey will lose. Before they even begin, Casey takes out a gun from his karate gi and instantly kills Sensei by shooting him in the head. He then sticks his finger through the bullet hole and leaves his body on the floor for the night class students to see. When the class arrives, he announces that he defeated Sensei in an unarmed match to the death using the Grandmaster's famous finger punch technique and punched a hole in Sensei's head, showing the bloody finger to everyone. He then asks everyone to hold out their hands and finds that it was Thomas who killed his dachshund after he finds bite marks on his wrist. Without saying anything, Casey brings out his German shepherd, who is adept at following commands in German, and orders him to rip off Thomas' throat. Casey then shows them the black belt he took from Sensei and gives it to Anna, putting her in charge of the dojo, where she adopts a more compassionate form of karate that values training both body and mind. Later, Casey takes up teaching kids, and also his dog's portrait finds a place next to the picture of the Grandmaster in the dojo. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this.